Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever heard the theory that birds aren't real? Well, what about the frickin' crows in Fromville? How about them? How about them? Because I'm telling you, I do not think the crows in the show are birds. I think they're working specifically for the man in yellow, and I think they've been working for him since the pilot. And after what we just watched in season 4, episode 3, I think the show finally stopped hiding that fact from us. I mean, we always did have somewhat of an idea because the crows swarm and all of that stuff, but this episode certainly solidified that it's more than that. So in this video, I'm going to walk through every single time we have seen these crows across all 4 seasons of From. I'm going to show you the line in episode 1 that I think is the biggest hidden detail in the entire show that nobody is talking about, and I'm going to show you the moment in this past Sunday's episode that locked this whole theory in for me. This is definitely a big one, so let's get into it. Before we do, I'm going to assume that if you're watching a crow's theory video of From that you're caught up, but just in case, this is your spoiler warning right now for everything through season 4 episode 3. So if you're not caught up, this is your chance to bounce right now in 3, 2, 1. Before we get into the deep theory of this video, I want to lay out every single time that we have seen the crows in the show, because once you pull them all in a row, back to back to back, the pattern is definitely insane, and I genuinely could not believe what I was looking at when I started writing all of this, because you could piece it all together and it's very interesting. So we're going to go through them in order, and I want you to keep a running tally in your head of when the crows show up, what they're doing, and who's on screen when they do it, because that's what this whole theory rests on. So we start with reference 1, season 1, episode 1, the very first scene where the Matthews family hits that fallen tree in the road. Ethan climbs up onto the trunk, Jim's holding him so he doesn't fall, and the crows show up, circling overhead, they're squawking, they're doing the whole thing, and they're acting weird. And here is the line in the scene that I think is the most important line in the entire show, and nobody at all is talking about it. Julie, being a teenage older sister, starts taunting Ethan, and she goes, "It's called a murder when crows get together like that." And then Tabitha, the woman who we know is Miranda, the painter who painted the man in yellow before any of us knew what he looked like, Tabitha corrects her. She says that those weren't crows, those were ravens. A group is called an unkindness. An unkindness in episode 1, out of the mouth of the character who on this show who has the subconscious access to what this entire place actually is. Just remember that. The first time we ever lay eyes on these birds, the show is literally telling us what they are. And I want you to hold on to that. And I'm dead serious. We're going to come back to it. We're coming back later. Just commit it to Claude. Do whatever you got to do, as I say in all of these. Anyway, whatever. Point I'm making is, I think it's going to click for you the way it clicked for me. Reference 2, later in season 1, Donna sits Tabitha down in Colony House and basically explains the welcome to Fromville orientation speech to her. And one of the things that she specifically tells her is everyone sees the tree, everyone sees the crows when they enter the town without exception. So that means Jade and Toby saw them, the Grand Rapids bus saw them, every single person who has ever been trapped in this place got the same welcome, the tree and the birds. Now, that's been the canon explanation since season 1. These crows are just there to mark new arrivals, their scenery, their vibes. That's what we've been told for three full seasons at least. We've had no real reason other than something we're going to get to really think that meant too much, but I think it does. Case in point, I just don't think that's what they are, and I'm gonna show you why. Reference 3, season 3, episode 3, Tilly is doing a tarot reading for Fatima up in Colony House. Fatima's going through this absolutely brutal pregnancy at this point, as you guys know. She's barely keeping her food down. She's trying to feed Smiley, basically, by eating rotten tomatoes and shit like that. Not rotten tomatoes, I just had to say that, but rotten vegetables. And she's seeing things, all in all, something's very wrong with her, and Tilly is about to flip the card, like the tarot card that's going to tell her what is actually going on with her baby, and right at that moment, a crow flies in to the window, smacking into the glass, then it just does it again and again until the glass shatters, and then the crow dies on the floor. Like, excuse me? Say that again? What? You gotta sit with that for a second. The crow just doesn't show up. The crow doesn't perch on a branch outside and observe. The crow kills itself, flying through a window window to interrupt that tarot card reading. Now you tell me, what does that sound like? That is clearly to me an intervention. Something used that bird, something with intent, something that did not want Fatima to see the card, and it killed a bird to make sure she didn't. If you subscribe to the belief that Tilly was the man in yellow, that may be your answer. Reference 4. This is what we just saw, season 4, episode 3 at the funeral. At this point, Sophia's fake dad is dead, and Jim is dead, and Boyd is standing in front of the entire community, trying to give them a reason to keep going. He's trying to hold the town together with his bare hands, and then the crow shows up, and it's not one, it's freaking all of them. It's a flock. It's a flock of seagulls. Not really, it's a flock of crows. There's a stupid analogy. But they're all swarming, they're calling over him and drowning it out, just like ignoring everything that Boyd was about to say and clearly mocking them. It really is like they're celebrating, which is something Julie says later in the episode. And now I'm sure this isn't really an original thought, that the crows are an omen of change, or the crows are a representation of transformation, bad things are coming, whatever. But I don't think that's what's happening like at all, especially with what we just saw in the funeral. And then what we saw later in the same episode, it's when Victor, Jade, and Ethan are walking out by the ruins, and Ethan's telling Jade everything about the Lake of Tears, which, by the way, if you haven't seen my Lake of Tears video, go watch that, because the stuff is all connected. Anyway, Ethan is talking about the Lake of Tears, and Victor turns around, he sees the man in the yellow suit just hanging there out by the ruins, he pees his pants, he breaks down, and what comes? A freaking crow basically mocking him as well. So we get the mockery, we get the scene in the funeral of all of them mocking, which is absolutely crazy. And then we get Victor seeing the man in yellow suit, and then we see Victor peeing his pants, and the crows come down and basically mock Victor too. That is just really interesting to me, that the second he shows up, the second he sees the suit, the crow shows up. That's not a coincidence. It's not just vibes, like I said. It's directly tied, and the bird is definitely connected to this man in yellow. But okay, I kind of combined them a little bit, but now we're stepping into theory time, because here's what I think is actually going on with this town. The man in yellow has been watching this place since the pilot. We know this because it was confirmed that it was him when he said in season 1 that your wife dug that hole. Your wife shouldn't be digging that hole, Jim. Then in season 3, he says your wife shouldn't have dug that hole, Jim, again. And then now we know everything about him. He's been watching from the beginning all the way up to when Jade played the lullaby. He's been seeing all of it. And I've been thinking about that for months. Like, how does this guy know everything that happens in this town when he can't be in 2 places at once? Like, how is he being informed if he's not physically there, unless he was taking the shape of Tilly, which is always a possibility. You never know. But anyway, I honestly think the crows are how. I think they're his eyes. I think they're how he sees every single thing that happens in Fromville, and I've got 3 reasons why. Reason 1 is simple, it's timing. Every single time somebody in this town is about to find something the man in yellow doesn't want them to find out, the crows are there. They're not nearby, they're not in the area, they're there in the scene. The tarot, the fallen tree, the funeral, Victor at the ruins. And that's not how an omen works. Like think about this. An omen shows up before something happens. You see the omen, you go, uh-oh, and then the bad stuff happens later. That's the whole point. The crows don't do that. These crows show up during the threat, while the moment is happening, not before, not after, it's right then. It's not omen behavior at all. That's surveillance pattern. That is literally like a pigeon is a surveillance camera pattern. I'm just being honest. That's exactly what that's like. Basically, the point is that somebody being notified that something is going down as it's going down. Reason 2, and I think this one's probably the most damning of them, the tarot crow killed itself to break a window. That bird did not want to die. Birds don't fly into windows on purpose repeatedly until they shatter glass. That doesn't happen. Sometimes they do fly into birds. It used to happen in my house all the time, and it freaking scared the shit out of me. But anyway, something made that bird die to stop Fatima from seeing what was on the card. It's not a symbol. Again, it's not a vibe. That is an asset on the ground taking action. And the funeral crows are the same thing. They didn't show up to mark the moment. They drowned Boyd out. They actively interfered with him giving that eulogy. They did something. They had a job, and that is not how omens behave. Omens don't have jobs. And as a matter of fact, they don't mock people who swam too close to the surface, albeit Jim. Jim got too close to the surface. This is his funeral, and now the crows are mocking him. And reason 3 is the one that I keep coming back to all the time, and this is the one that when I caught it, I literally sat at my desk for like 5 minutes going, are you fucking serious right now? Tabitha, in the pilot, saying those weren't crows. Those were ravens. A group is called an unkindness. The show literally told us in episode 1. It told us like everything in episode 1, which is crazy. In the very first scene we ever see the birds in, out of the mouth of the woman who 4 seasons later we find out is Miranda, the painter who painted the man in yellow before any of us knew his face, that they're an unkindness. I don't think that that's John Griffin flexing his bird trivia. I don't think anything in this show, anything at all, is an accident at this point. I think Miranda, through Tabitha, was telling us in the pilot what these things really are, and every recap article for the last 4 years has just totally missed this. Okay, and I want to bring this up because I know this has just been a general theory on all platforms, like from Twitter, from Reddit, all of that stuff. You guys already know, I'm sure, a little bit about the King in Yellow theories. The Man in Yellow is widely speculated to be the show's version of Hastur, who is the Lovecraftian Great Old One, also known as the King in Yellow. The yellow suit, the knowledge comes with a cost line, the way he influences artists like Miranda, that all comes up in a very specific corner of horror literature going back to the 1800s. If you don't know any of that, that's okay. You don't need to be so in the weeds on from Reddit as we do. The short version is there is a horror tradition more than 100 years old where there's this evil entity who wears yellow and he drives people insane. And he basically punishes people for finding out the truth. Does that sound familiar? Cool, so that's the King in Yellow. That's the tradition the Man in Yellow comes from. But here's the part that nobody's talking about. In SCP universe lore, which is a type of lore, online lore that pulls from the heavy Lovecraft stuff, there's an entity called the Hanged King. He's a King in Yellow analogy. Same tradition, different names, same yellow vibes, all that stuff. And his origin story is after people of his city killed him, the crows gathered around his grave, he rose with them, and they became his messengers. They pecked his subjects to death, and there is literally a story in that universe that's called "And So the Crows Laughed." And the crows laughed at the funeral in episode 3. I'm definitely not saying that From is doing a one-to-one SCP adaptation. I'm not trying to say anything of that, and I'm not saying that it's confirmed canon. What I am saying is that the writers of this show are clearly fluent in this entire mythology tradition. The Yellow King has always been associated with crows in this corner of horror literature. So when the show puts a man in yellow in the story and then surrounds him with crows that mock funerals and kill themselves to hide tarot cards, the writers know exactly what they're doing, and so do we now. So here's where I land with this whole thing. The crows in From aren't omens, they aren't symbols or vibes, as I mentioned multiple times. They have been, since episode 1, an unkindness, a network, the Man in Yellow's eyes in the town. He sees through them, he hears through them, and when somebody wants to mess with somebody in this place, interrupt a card, mock a funeral, scare a man back from the ruins, they do it for him. There's all sorts of things. The town has monsters. There's monsters everywhere, blah, blah, blah. But the Man in Yellow has the crows in the daylight, and pay attention to those birds. Anyway, I definitely want to hear from you. This is just a film theory. I've always wanted to say that in a video, and now that I said it, I'm pretty disappointed in myself. Whatever. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Just had to get this out. Had to do it. I want to know where you stand on the crows and all of that stuff down in the comments. So with all that out of the way, let's take it there. And until the next one, I will talk to you later. Peace out.